First things first, welcome everybody. This is a packed room. It's great to see so many people here. I'm thrilled to be here today with all of you and deep dive into how leading firms such as Connectivity, dsm-firmenich, and Tetra Pak are leveraging artificial intelligence across their respective industries. So today's session will be split into three different parts. The first will be that our guests will share a couple of slides and words with you about their internal organizational AI journey within their respective firms. The second one, we will have a panel to deep dive a little bit more into understanding how to design and structure effective AI programs that allow companies to win leveraging this technology. And finally, we'll leave some time to open up the floor for you to ask any questions that you may have to our guests here. But before letting our panelists share their AI journey, I would just like to tell you 2-3 words, I promise, about Visium. So Visium is a leading AI consultancy that was born within this same very campus at EPFL a couple of years ago. Since then, we've grown exponentially. We have offices across Europe. We have done over 200 projects that are related to artificial intelligence. And last year, as a cherry on top of the cake, we were recognized as Switzerland's second fastest growing company by the Financial Times. What we do, essentially, is we enable organizations to become future-proof and leaders in AI and data. And our goal is really to take companies that are experimenting with AI or that are trying to understand what AI can do for them and transform them into AI achievers where they can have a clear ROI on their investments that they're doing throughout artificial intelligence. So we always target to have approximately 20 to 30% of EBITDA generated by AI. To do so, we accompany them throughout the entire data lifecycle. From the very first moment when they are thinking about data, so what to do with this, we have some management consultants that are going into that and figuring out some robust strategies to leverage data and data science. We then have our cloud and data engineers that can help organization process and, let's say, get the data ready for the entire field of data science. We'll have our first fruits of data engineering that would yield into data products and analytics. And finally, we have the entire AI topic where we go from experimenting with some proof of concepts that are more or less very experimental, very breakthrough innovative, to the point where we deploy them and create robust AI solutions. So as promised, only 2-3 words about Visium, and we can get right into it with Bronte Hamilton from TE Connectivity.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? So first of all, thanks to Visium for having me here today and being a partner with TE Connectivity. Fantastic group to work with and hopefully a long journey ahead. And I'm very humbled to be here with the amazing people on my panel as well. Makes me think I've got a lot more to learn out there. My name is Bronte Hamilton. I work with TE Connectivity. Has anyone heard of TE Connectivity? It's okay if you haven't. Any hands? Visium doesn't count. Okay, so we make, I'll go to the first slide here. We make connectors, relays, sensors, switches. We're one of those invisible companies that are in everything from microwaves to cars to utilities to computers to air conditioning, pretty much anything with data, power, light, signal, we connect it. So a really interesting business to be in that no one knows about. So the good thing about TE is we make probably 250 plus billion connectors, switches, sensors a year. And we do that over a high count of locations and countries across the world. So we've been around for quite a while. We have a very broad portfolio. My specific area of the business focuses on industrial connectors. We have 1 million parts, and we actively sell probably about 400,000 parts. So when it comes to AI, there's this enormous opportunity because we have this embedded complexity in the customers that we sell to, where and how we sell to them, and then the product set that we have. Because if you think about it, our connectors, say in an electric vehicle, might only be a couple of $100 of the total material that go into building that EV, but you can't build the EV without us. So it's really critical we get the right components to the right place at the right time. And that's everywhere around the world. So we started on this journey quite a while back. Oh, I suppose I should say a little bit about myself. I have a somewhat different background. It is not traditional computing or AI. I'm from Australia, if you can hear from the accent. I was originally in the Australian Army, mostly because I didn't understand what joining an army meant. Did a triple major, did first class honors in information systems, national threat infrastructure protection. I did telecommunications for a couple of years, then I did intelligence. I served in Iraq and Afghanistan and really learnt how to deal with complex information synthesis in ambiguous environments, leveraging a number of means or channels. After that, I was fortunate enough to do an MBA at Penn State, went to America, decided to do a completely different career in finance with TE, and they kept giving me problems to solve, and I kept solving them apparently, and they kept giving me more problems to solve. So now today I live in Zurich, Switzerland, managing strategy, business development, marketing, pricing, M&A and integration for my business, which is about $2 billion a year. So on to the more important stuff, TE's AI journey. So for our AI journey, we started probably back in 2015. If you can imagine, some of our plants are producing 6, 8, 10 million components a day. So the processes have to be incredibly refined, and productivity is key to us. So one of the first areas we started looking at was leveraging AI in machine vision to do quality testing on components. Because again, your component might be a tiny folded piece of metal that's plated with a gold contact, but if it goes into a vehicle and then it fails in that vehicle, then the repercussions are significant, which in business means stupid expensive for us. So this is where we started the journey. Then in 2018, we made a conscious decision to bring a PhD guy from Caterpillar in who'd done augmented reality and a different other range of analytics to start building a formal approach to this journey. We recognized that we needed to do analytics better, and we needed to leverage the data that we had better, so we brought that team in. Over the next few years, and I was closely involved with this, we started building out what we call a hub and spoke model, which is where we had a core team of data scientists to help work on the models and build deep expertise. But then we have about 10 business groups in TE, and we would work with the individual businesses on specific projects and start getting basic business analytics, and in some case then merging as AI evolved into AI and machine learning as well. So a couple of key areas I've been involved in on that journey was with our sensors business unit, doing part level forecasting. So you can imagine if I've got 1 million parts, understanding what do I need to make next becomes really important. Because any time that my factory is not running, there's a huge fixed cost associated with that. But if I order too much material and make the wrong thing, then I'm stuck with inventory that I might not sell and have to write off. So we took a deep dive into part level forecasting, combining statistical with cost and neural networks, particularly on parts that are very difficult to predict historically. So that's one of the areas we started touching on the last couple of years. As I look forward to where we are today moving forward, we're now really starting to recognize the speed and importance of AI and how deeply that is going to impact our business processes. So now we're just literally right now building out a much more in-depth AI governance model. We're still leveraging the AI hub and spoke model, but we'll also build out an AI center in Singapore and start getting more consistent and structured how we approach this. So our AI program, what are we trying to do? You'll see here the BU prioritized applications. Well, actually, I'll start from the other way. First of all, we need a scalable enterprise foundation. This is really hard in my company. We have 10 business units. Each one's its own little country with its own general manager, and they're given a lot of decisional authority to go do what they need to do to perform as a business. Trying to get 10 different cats galloping in the same direction is tricky. But with AI, there are certain things that you just have to scale across the enterprise, otherwise it's too expensive to do. So first of all, we need this scalable foundation, having the governance structure, having the allocation of resources, building out our AI hub in Singapore, bringing in the right talent with data scientists, et cetera. With our AI, there has to be a purpose, has to be an intent. You can't just throw it and chase shiny things all day. So we need to deliver better products faster. We're in a highly competitive, highly complex ecosystem with supply chain, customers, and products. We have to show a benefit to our customers and to our shareholders. And then the BU, that's our business unit, so that's one of those 10. We let them prioritize the applications. There's a really critical piece of AI. It does not matter how strong or powerful or elegant your model is. If the people on the ground don't want to use it, they will not use it. It doesn't matter how perfectly, beautifully it makes sense. It could give you 10 times the profit. They will not use it if they don't want to. So we've found the best way to get them to use it is to suggest to us the problems they want to solve. Okay. I'll spend a couple of minutes now on some key learnings that we've had so far from AI. These are really close to me. I've experienced some of these directly, and I also see broader across the company. The big one for me is this is a non-compressible journey. For those who've done R&D, there's a maxim out there. If a product takes 5 years to develop, you might as well wait 3 years until your tools and systems evolve and do it in 2 years, 3 years from now. That is not AI. Because with AI, it's not just the tools or the models. Your organization has to learn how to use them. And that just takes time. So my recommendation there, start early, start anywhere, break it, mess it up, try it again. But it gets your people on the ground used to framing business problems in a way that data scientists and AI ML specialists can work with, and that relationship between the two. That takes time. And especially in traditional organizations that have had a long conservative history of not messing things up at high volume, it takes even more time. Data. Very fortunate in my company, someone told us probably 20 years ago that we needed to collect all this magical stuff called data. So like dragons with treasure in a cave, we collected all the data. So we have a data lake. It is fantastic, actually. We just don't know what to do with it. But we know we collected it, so that's good. So the journey now is, how good is that data? How powerful is it? What is the right data set to use for the problem we're looking at? And when I scan my business for problems that I want to execute with AI as a potential solution, the first thing I look at is, how good is my data set? I'm doing a pricing project at the moment where I have fantastic data. It's frequent. I can get a response on whether it's successful or not from the market within a 0 to 12-month time frame, and it repeats, and I have great depth, and I've captured it, and I can cross-reference. So that's what I look at. The other one I touched on before, every change breaks someone's workflow, and that someone is probably going to be unhappy in some sort of way. You have to deal with the change management aspects. And then learning from the learning, like I said, that ties back to the non-compressibility journey. As your organization learns about how to execute AI/ML, how do you capture the learnings from that in a structured way? How do you embed that in your people? How do you frame competencies? And it's not just the technical expertise, that's fine. I'm talking about how do you teach a decision maker to leverage both human and machine learning in their decisions? So these are the sort of things we need to capture. I think I'm about on time. I'm maybe a minute over, but that ends my piece here. Looking forward to questions later, and I will now hand over to the next speaker.
So thank you. I'm going to talk about Tetra Pak. And we have basically, we are a three business company based on three different areas that has to do with basically everything that is connected to packaging food manufacturing. We are a private company. We have about 25,000 employees. Our company is focused on making food safe and available everywhere. That's our mission. Our promise is basically protecting what is good. We are basically leading the industry around sustainability now, basically. This is our objective, our strategic objective. And yeah, my name is Alberto Barroso. I'm head of decision science in Tetra Pak. I've been in this industry of data science for some time, 20 years now. I started in supply chain analytics. I work a lot in topics around optimization. And then I have been basically working in very different areas from healthcare industry, pricing, marketing, HR, so trying to really find use cases and applied economics. I'm a PhD in applied economics. You will see that that's why we are called decision science, my unit. We are very focused on optimization of decision making, understanding not just the evidence, but also trying to understand how humans reflect about decision making. This is at the core of what we do. So where we are actually leveraging AI in Tetra Pak, we are leveraging AI in three different ways. First, for internal use, basically how to optimize our internal decisions. So for example, how to optimize our supply chain, for example, or how to optimize our sales process, how to optimize our pricing strategy. So everything that has to do with internal optimization. But also we are actually using AI for developing new products and services. So how to, for example, make machines more efficient, more sustainable, with less energy consumption, less water consumption. So basically that's at the core of basically products and services. And third is actually using AI for enabling new business models. Imagine that you can actually use data and understanding basically our customers and even going farther. We are a B2B company, but we would like to really understand you as a consumer and optimizing decisions basically to, for example, reduce CO2 emissions. This focus on sustainability is actually really a promise that we have made. So we want to be completely net zero neutral in 2030, and we want to actually make 2050 the year for actually making the value chain zero neutral in this industry. So our focus is actually on this side of this story. We want to see the change impacted, and that's basically where we have put a lot of pressure in the rigor of the AI. And I will talk about how we have done this. The current industry context, we see that there is increased competition. In general, there is a word that we typically say, there is a paperization of the industry. We are changing from basically plastic to paper, and that is changing a lot the whole packaging industry. So we are using more and more actually digital channels to buy stuff. So we are getting a lot of competition from Amazon, for example. So this is where we see basically that we need to optimize actually our packaging content. We want to make it completely renewable, completely zero neutral. This is where we are investing more and more. Every year we are investing around 100 million on this, how to remove all these plastic barriers, but also the alufoil barrier. So we have actually done this for the first time last year, where we have reduced completely the aluminum barrier of our packages. And if you are not in the industry, you may have the question about, okay, but why you have these layers, basically. Our objective is to avoid any kind of bacteria entering the package. That's basically the main objective, while the package and the food that is inside can last. So basically, we are reducing waste. This is the objective of my company. The area of processing, which is very much focused on how to transform food, this is actually where we basically, from the dairy, to the plant-based food, to fermented food, to powder food, to any kind of actually transformation process of food. This is where we actually build plants, build assets, build technology around that. So we are actually seeing that sustainability is the license to operate. This is actually where we are very much focused, but also we have suffered this supply chain volatility. I mean, our current context in terms of geopolitics is pointing that more and more uncertainty is coming, and we are seeing that actually in our supply chain. This has been disrupted several times in the last years. So this is becoming a new normal, and of course information flows are extremely important for optimization. And then you see these new consumption patterns. We want to be more sustainable. We want to actually consume less dairy. We want to actually consume more plant-based. So we have a lot of solutions connected to plant-based food. This is where we actually are invested a lot in fermented food, for example. So this is my company. It's an interesting company, but I want to talk about my journey in this company. So I started in 2018, where we actually developed the decision science, or data science actually at that point, Center of Excellence. We focus a lot on use cases. So we wanted to really bring use cases. This is practical stuff, how to optimize decision making. And we built a functional specialization. Our team was very focused on different domains like operations, supply chain, sales and marketing, HR and finance. So we wanted to really connect with the customer, connected with our business. Then in 2019, we started actually doing experimentations. So we found our first scalable use case for our customers. So this was actually a very important step forward. We actually proved in different customers that we could actually optimize cheese. Cheese is basically a process, is a very linear process that has to do with hundreds of different parameters. But at the end, there is basically an optimization process where you have moisture, you have water, and you have fat, but also you have pH, you have salt. So you have basically an understanding of, what are the parameters of the process basically from the cow to the milk to the customer and till the batch until the final cheese. So we started using machine learning methods. We started actually testing those machine learning methods in randomized clinical trials, and we started actually seeing a big impact on the cheese moisture and the cheese quality. After that, we actually started, measuring impact. This was actually where we focus a lot on understanding basically evidence. In 2020, and I will bring this reference of a framework that we use. It's called Theare framework, and it was actually released in a paper during COVID actually. This framework is actually to understand scientific evidence. So during COVID, a lot of scientists have a problem around sharing and understanding evidences. And this was the time actually when this paper popped up. So we stole this paper and we reflected about our way of working. And I will explain you in a minute how it works. But it's basically about understanding evidence when we develop AI from the beginning. So you want to actually start using standards of back testing, doing randomized clinical trials, and then actually having some kind of continuous control of your performance. But it's basically, it's a scientific process driven. Then in the last year, we have been very much focused on running a program called Accelerating AI that I'm driving. This is a program focused on how to really start using use cases, so understanding how to start changing behaviors of decision makers. So we have added more use cases. We are actually seeing those cases, impacting our organization. But also we have seen the challenges of people and humans taking actions with evidence. We are typically very constrained about understanding scientific evidence or statistics. I think that we all know. So we think that there is a need for creating frameworks to create incentives and to create incentives for applying rational decision making. This is actually very relevant these days, where AI has actually, created very seamless speeches or very, impactful conversations. So more and more we are going to need a framework for evidence-driven decision-making. So we are working a lot on this. And we are thinking actually in the future, of course, so we are very much connected now with this hub and spoke idea of, getting closer to the customers, really working and, very partnering with business users. So what is this about? I want to talk a little bit about the Accelerating AI program because it started with proving the value. It started with having scientific evidence of our AIs. It cannot start with just a bunch of data and a bunch of spurious correlations. So that's why we focus on this theory framework. So now we have about basically 19 use cases where we have, 13 of them already proven value using scientific evidence. 11 of them we have actually started testing them and getting results in clinical experiments. And 3 of them are actually in production. So continuously these AIs are recommending decision making. This is in 7 months of the program. So we want to bring transparency to the organization about how this works. It's basically about understanding, if we have passed these toll gates, what are the proven evidences, and how we need actually to start bringing a change, bringing a different way of taking decisions. So all of the areas of the organizations are impacted today. So from finance to HR to supply chain, procurement, to services, maintenance, to processing solutions, all of them, they are embarked into these use cases. And as you can imagine, this is just crazy, of course, but it's basically about gathering people and reflecting about why these use cases make sense. And we are actually interested in getting more trust, of course, but this trust is just enabled by speaking about these use cases and starting bringing evidence to everyone in the organization. So it's basically it's bringing transparency into the journey. Now, the bottleneck is change behavior. This is the bottleneck. And that's why we changed the name of the team. I changed the name of the team. It was basically about 4 years ago. So as an applied economist, I have seen this industry evolving a lot from advanced analytics, data mining, bringing machine learning into the top, and then now AI. I see that there is a potential, of course, a big opportunity with AI these days, of course. Large language models are coming and they are here to stay. But also, I see the risk of missing completely the point of why we're using these models. I think more and more we are consuming AIs in all our, decisions. The risk here is actually how we can reflect if this is a good tool, if this is actually, adding value. In this industry, by the way, B2B industry, we rely a lot on machine learning. So it's like, even that we have generative AI, machine learning is 90% of our use cases. So we actually have focused a lot on how to make safe and reliable AI. That's basically our focus. Key learnings for this journey I want to bring. The current project or the current Accelerating AI program is now basically impacting around 900 million per year. This is a mix of cost reduction by also, basically optimizing decision making internally, but also where we have actually seen is that the value is outside Tetra Pak. So we see actually that AI can bring new business models for the company. So this is actually a big part of this 900 million. We also have seen that just by interacting with people, that basically not just 19 projects could be actually achieved. We can multiply this, and we have seen more use cases coming. Cases that are connected into different units, like for example, optimizing pricing together with optimizing TCO, or optimizing supply chain at the same time improving procurement. So there is a lot of cross-fertilization by running these programs. Now, where is the elephant in the room? The elephant in the room is basically prioritization. So as a company, any company is optimizing for improving or taking basically, decisions that we know and basically run it with the more efficient, but it's difficult for us to actually change the way we work. And this is where AI actually is coming. Like the big opportunity of AI is for disrupting decision-making, for creating innovation. So we have bottlenecks on prioritization. So, for example, every time we prove the value, we would like to get, faster testings, for example. Start, for example, a big test and doing randomized control trials, for example. Now, this should be basically the way. But instead, we don't have that reference. We don't have this process in our DNA. So we are working a lot on the transformation. So we are working a lot on integrating KPIs to move basically decision-making and prioritize decision-making in a different way. This is a corporate direction. Then the last part is customer focus. To be able to actually create value with AI is not just about understanding the data. It's actually understanding how humans react to this data, how we consume this data to make decisions. Now, this closing loop, the last part, sometimes is not so easy. So we are working a lot on closing loops. So actually, we are transforming the way we connect our customers to reflect about those loops. Just to put an example, in an ice cream factory where you have basically hundreds of different parameters, the production is running really fast, decision makers are actually very few. Vast majority of the factory is automated. Now, which decisions are taken every day? This is actually one of the key elements. We started the journey controlling hundreds of thousands of different parameters, but there are few actually of them that are actually changed by decision makers. So this is the prescriptive side of the story, and this is actually the key side of the story. So we are transforming the way we also control data. And we are also working closer to these customers. Actually, co-creation in this context of AI is actually key. So we work more and more with partners, like Visium, for example, but we also work a lot with customers. So we work in a very collaborative manner, because this is the only way to crack these problems. So that's basically my last comment. Happy to take questions from you. Very excited of being here. And I leave the...
All right, good morning. I'm Marco Ghislanzoni with dsm-firmenich. Together with my colleague Christine Chichester, we run data science and AI within the company. And happy to see a full room. I guess that you came here to understand what this AI is about, because this conference is applied machine learning days, right? So, and this is AI. Well, I'll tell you a secret. We typically call it machine learning when we do it. When it gets on PowerPoint, it becomes AI. Okay, so that's why you're here. Okay, jokes aside, I have to go to my slides, of course. Huh? Yeah, that's me. been with dsm-firmenich for a while now. You also know that last year we became one company from two that we used to be. We have a long history as companies, I think both more than 100 years, coming from the Dutch side and coming from the Swiss side. And I will show later a bit our journey into machine learning / AI / Gen AI / your next buzzword. What we do inside is our teams basically, often apply the working definition of AI that you see under the picture. And this is one of my favorite ones because people do understand it, right? We say artificial intelligence is data, training data, a lot of data, hopefully good data. It's about algorithms, and I will tell you a secret later on about algorithms. And it's about human in the loop. So we are still not at the point where we can take humans out of the AI loop. On one hand, because we are still learning. On the other, because people at least they want to still believe that they have some decisions-making power somehow. And also people need to be empowered through this technology. So this is one of our key concepts. Now, what do we apply AI to? Well, to a number of areas. And typically, if you want to find the right areas where to apply these technologies to, there is only one rule: follow the money. So basically, where we can utilize these technologies to, on one hand, improve the way that we do business, make our customer happier. Innovation is definitely on the table. Market expansion, right? So we are a for-profit company. So you will find areas in which you apply AI if you again follow a bit the money. But it's not the only thing that we do, of course. We also do a lot of experimentation internally. We also apply these technologies as much as we can to help our employees being more efficient and focus not on the repetitive task, on the heavy lifting task, but on a more creative one. And this is the AI for everyone, the horizontal AI, right? And then we have the vertical AIs and we have the innovation AI. Now, our journey, as I said, comes from right now the joint journey of two different companies. Each one of us went through, before we merged, through their own AI experimentations. Back in time, we were doing things like applying random forests to understand why our prices will move in a certain direction and which factors influence them. Before LLMs, we even attempted to implement our own kind of smart artificial intelligence system that back at DSM time we call DAISY, a DSM artificial intelligence system, with total lack of fantasy, but it was a cool name. As a matter of fact, it wasn't adopted. And it wasn't adopted because the technology was not mature, people would not believe it. We didn't have all the marketing fuss from OpenAI and Microsoft and the others. So that didn't work as expected, but now we have a second chance. So everyone is given a second chance, which is good, thanks to LLMs. On the Firmenich side, I think Christine will explain a bit more, and during the panel, of course, it was a lot, and it's a lot about e-creation. It's about supporting the creation of new perfumes, new flavors, right? And somehow, as we are coming together, few things, interesting thing happens. On one hand, we learn from each other, like we were two separate companies, and now we are one company. So now we can share information, we can learn from each other, and we can see how certain experience were tackled somehow differently, and different levels were achieved in different areas. And we have the challenge now to bring this together and work as one team. We have different data maturity, we have different machine learning maturity, different data science maturity, not necessarily better on one side than the other, but definitely different. So interesting how we are working together to bring this onto one team and one way of working. And this is enabling us to even go at a faster pace. Because suddenly, you have a friend that has done certain things better than you did, and on the other side, maybe vice versa, so we can bring that together. What are we working on right now? So what is top of our mind? Starting from the center of the onion. Is that an onion? Yeah, kind of. starting from the center of the onion is a revised AI strategy, okay? So we are a bit surfing the hype, but this gives us visibility, and it gives us the possibility to bring certain messages to inside of the company, which they also hear from the outside. Of course, we have to distinguish reality from the hype. That's very, very important. But that at least opens some doors, right? And people listen, and people are curious, and we are doing a lot of education internally to have people understanding what is this AI about and what is all the fuss about. And then it becomes tangible. And we say, did you buy NVIDIA shares a few months ago? Yeah. So now you're sitting on a very good profit. And that triggers the motivation. Of course, we're also focusing on the e-creation side. So we are seeing opportunity to utilize AI and many forms of AI to foster the creation of new products, of new solutions, but also to better work and with customers. Right? So this idea that e-creation can also become co-creation together with our customers is slowly but steadily, opening a number of doors. And eventually imagine that you could have AIs on our side talking with AIs on the customer side until they come to a determination of what next product should be. Now I'm projecting it a bit to the future. And you have AI on our side negotiating with AIs on the customer side, also to find a common agreement and a common ground on developing new products. Last but not least, we are seeing a surge of the LLM RAG use cases, so retrieval augmented generation with variations like T-RAG and so on. And Christine's team is working nicely on infrastructure to provide those cases and to fulfill those cases at scale because they are quickly ramping up. I think right now I have 27 on our list. And every other day there is someone who comes and says, oh, I want an LLM. And then we say, okay, so if you go around holding a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Right? So people are having this hammer of the LLM, and now they want to solve everything. So, oh, if I throw all my Excels in LLM, is it going to do the calculations for me? No, that's not how it works. Okay? But if you have a number of unstructured documents and you want to query them, you want to summarize them, you want to extract information and also understand where those sources come from, yes, that we can do for you. That we can definitely do. And then over time, we'll develop more, right? That requires team, that requires specific application areas. That also requires a lot of change management. And people are still a bit scared about these tools. Somehow they want to experiment with them, but they're also afraid that sooner or later it's going to take their job or it's going to, I don't know, make them less smart than they think they are or smarter. We don't know yet. So key learning from our AI journey, some of which I already mentioned. Super important, always start from the problem and the opportunity. Again, when people come to you and say, oh, I need an LLM. So what do you need it for? Which problem are you trying to solve? Ask why 5 times until you get to the root of the problem or the root of the opportunity. And then it might turn out that the LLM or LLMs that people are asking for are not always the solution. There is traditional data science, there are traditional algorithms, there is traditional machine learning beside AI, which can still be applied to a number of problems in a very efficient way, and you won't necessarily throw everything into an LLM. The other thing is taking care of your data. You know that machine learning is garbage in, garbage out most of the time. Yes, we can work with noisy data. We can work with gaps in the data. But if 99% is gaps and all you have is a 1 in there, yeah, that's not going to work. So taking care of the data, making sure that you understand the lineage, that they are properly classified, your metadata as well. There are a lot of opportunities using AI also for data quality management and indications whether your data are what they should be for certain applications. And very important, the human expertise. So I don't know of any AI machine learning project that went well without the domain expertise added to the project. Okay? So you can give the best data set to your best data scientist, but if that person doesn't know anything about the field of application of those data, very likely, maybe by chance, you get something nice, but it's not likely. non-invented here syndrome. So you remember the definition of AI I shared at the very beginning? As training data plus algorithms plus human in the loop. You know what? For us, 99.9% of the times, algorithms are commodities. We don't write our own algos, right? We download PyTorch and Keras and TensorFlow and and the magic happens. But yeah, we don't do pure research on algos. We don't have to. It's not our job. Others are doing that. But we are happy to take that over, peer-reviewed, verified, controlled, and utilize it for our applications. So why having to reinvent things when they are already there better than you can do yourself? And last but not least, make aware everyone that doing data science, doing AI, doing machine learning, it's an iterative approach. So people are used to, oh, here's my problem, here's my data, see you in 3 months, and you give me the solution. No, that's not how it works, and that's not how it should work. So you need to involve the business stakeholders, you need to involve the users, the future owners in your process, that they understand how this is built, they understand the pros and the cons, they understand the good, the bad, the ugly, and then they own it, and then they will adopt it, and then they will take the solution and grow it together with you. But if you don't make them aware of how this works, it will never work. And with that, I think that I went through my slides. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the three of you for sharing a little bit more about your AI journey, a bit of your lessons learned, a couple of jokes as well. I would like to start with a very tough question for this panel to you, Christine. You, at Firmenich, Christine has been leading the D Lab for the past years. And approximately 5 to 6 years ago, you guys were already starting to talk about Gen AI. Since then, you have put into production, into service, and your business stakeholders are using your solutions on a daily basis. And you've done that not once, not twice, but 20-ish more times, let's say. What's your secret?
Okay, well, the secret, this is on?
I hope so. I think.
Okay. So, well, I think the secret comes actually from, well, it was a learning journey, as Marco mentioned. But the secret came eventually as we developed an infrastructure that enabled these to go into production quite quickly. And we actually did spend quite a lot of our budget, our budget, on just developing the infrastructure, which is really the part of the iceberg that's under the water. It's not the sexy part. It's not the model, right? But the infrastructure so that we could quickly industrialize these solutions and get them into a production system. And I think we spend at least 50% of our budget each time for every model on this part of the journey. And this is what has really helped us, because now we can work on just the model part, and we have the infrastructure that totally supports that. And so it's one of the secrets that has helped us get to the point that you just mentioned, that we're able to have 30 models in production today, 30 useful models that people use on a daily basis. So this is really, because one of the things is people don't want to wait. I mean, if you show them the model that's working, they want it in production the next day. They don't want to wait for you to, okay, well, now give us 3 more months to get it into production. No. So the way we get people using it is to be able to quickly iterate through this process, get them into production. So I think that is probably the biggest secret to getting them there. And unfortunately, it's not the AI part. It's the infra part.
And from the human side, so you have the technological part, let's say, that can basically allow you to scale quite fast with those solutions. What did you guys do from the human part to make sure that people, would adopt it, would love it, would scale it?
Well, I think this also comes to a point that Bronte said. In fact, in the beginning, we didn't actually ask the users. We did something that was impressive to them, that made them understand that we knew what we were doing. right? We made something that could generate a formula, do their work for them. And not saying that they really loved that, but it was able to show them that we knew how to take the data and rework it. And now we go to asking them what they want, right? And now we ask them what they want, and they believe that we can do it. So they give us their hardest problems, and we solve them that way. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And to that, Bronte, you guys follow a hub and spoke model you mentioned today, right? And one of your key pillars was to force or to encourage, let's say, it's more politically correct, to encourage business units to come up with great ideas. Did you also go through the first stages as Christine, where you had more maybe something centralized, you had to show kind of a wow effect for people to adopt it? Or how was it on your side? Or did you guys directly start with this hub and spoke model?
Great question, and I think it was a bit of both. So the good thing is in my company is we're competitive. There's 10 business units, and we each want to do better than the other business unit. So that's a handy thing to tap into, because we always want to win. We started with a central team, because you have to have that critical expertise. You must have the data scientists, the specialties, you have to have that there. And then generally, my leaders in my company aren't stupid, so they picked a couple of areas that they knew would resonate with our company in terms of the machine vision, our starting point. It's relatively straightforward. It doesn't displace someone. It makes it a better quality process for our customers. There is a value there, and it's an easy, measurable event to prove worth on. Once you get that, then you start building on that success, and I worked with our head of data analytics a lot so that we build a pipeline then, and there's a very structured process. And to Christine's point on speed, once they have a proposition of value around a certain project or pilot, it's 12 weeks. You have 12 weeks to build that project, display the value, show how it can be done, and then ideally 3 months to industrialize. Reality is usually a bit different. My pricing project is, I just checked, and it's going to be at about 22 months. However, there was a lot of learnings on the way, and that's probably a 70% step on the journey. The next step, which we look to do with some external partners, gets easier and easier. But your credibility has to be high, because you have to understand who carries the risk. The risk isn't really on your data team or your analytics team or the model writers. The risk is on the business person who says, I'm going to change how I do my process to incorporate this. If it goes right, everyone shares the success, and there's lots of lovely PowerPoints and meetings and awards. If it goes wrong, everyone disappears, and the poor person who made the decision usually carries it. So you have to get past that burden.
Okay. So you mentioned PowerPoint, and Marco, you made a great comment. What we do is ML, but as soon as it translates into a PowerPoint, or I guess you have to sell it internally, it becomes AI. For you, how has been the change management within the organization? What have been your key success factors in order to convince, I would say, or even just have people understand what's the power of AI for the future of the organization?
Yeah, so it took, I think, quite some effort, and it's still taking quite some effort. And we have basically, 2 ways to run this. One is bottom up. So what we do is, a lot of educational sessions, a lot of webinars, a lot of internal talking to democratize AI. So have people understand how it works for them and how it could help them. And this puts in perspective this idea that, it's, something I don't understand, is something so far away from me, turn it into, it's something that I could use on, my daily job. And we also getting help, of course, from large companies. We have, for example, big Microsoft infrastructure. Now we are experimenting with Copilot. People are seeing, AI plugged into their daily activities. Again, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we made them aware that this is not the holy grail. It's not that you push a button that says do my job and it does your job. That button doesn't exist, and it will not exist for a long time. So that's part of it. The other approach is the top-down approach. I think that if you really want to pervasively run AI in a company, it has to come from the very top. So you have to have that endorsement. Your CEO has to come and say, I think this is important. I believe that this is part of the future of our company. I would like you people to work on it. So that also requires some education from our side in terms of having them understand the opportunities, the art of the possible. We are spending also quite some time these days, for example, kind of calculating business cases and opportunity cases and try to come out with, what is the big pot of gold about? And here's what it's about. But we are also helped somehow from the outside, right? So this year Davos was all most about AI. Our CEO was there. He came back very hyped about what AI can do. Thank you, Davos. Yeah, that's helping us, right?
To follow up on this, you mentioned now you do a lot of calculations to prove the value of AI. Have you seen this evolving in the past years? Do you think that we will go more and more maybe towards a portfolio approach? So really looking at a portfolio of solutions with AI and treat it almost as a financial investment and, continue to this? Do you see a trend going there?
Totally. So we have, at the moment, quite a nice model. And by the way, some of my data scientists are working on it as part of their assignment. Quite a nice model that brings it all together and explores all the areas of possibilities and all the areas of opportunity. Now, whether they will buy it in full, that's a different story because that's not the only thing that sells. I think it's also very much how it links to the company strategy. Okay, so you get those kind of initiatives and you get the buy-in if you say, okay, here's the company strategy, customer experience, operational efficiency, innovation. Okay, cool. We know how to apply AI to customer experience, to operational efficiency, to innovation. And here is what it can bring. Then it starts to become tangible and it starts to become real, right?
Alberto, you mentioned the theory framework that you guys use internally. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and how did you come to this? You shared a number with us before. How did you come up with this 900 million in value and what are you doing to accelerate and transform these 900 millions from theoretical to continuous value?
So this is actually interesting because, when...
a bit closer.
Hello?
Yeah.
So, we tend to, in business, we tend to build theoretical business cases. I think that has been historically a risk, not just for business, but actually for the economy. And that's actually connected to the risk of AI these days. So we work a lot on bringing a framework about, what is real, what is fake. Because in reality, we don't want to compete internally. It's so stupid to have discussions around, should I just believe in some magic or should I actually believe on some kind of scientific evidence? So I work on building this framework or using basically the best practice around scientific literature and basically that help us to actually confront the reality. We build theoretical business cases, we reflect about them. That's about, we can call it like vanity or something like this in business. And then we confront with the reality of, have you backtested your model? How many data points have you used? Have you actually simulate with the same, lead time horizon, your, forecasting model? Have you added all the constraints on your decision making? Well, you're closer to basically empirical value. Now, if you have experimented as if this will be a drug, well, you're closer to the reality, actually, because you have actually consumed this, you have seen the consequences, you have seen the issues, the challenges. That's where we talk about applicable and replicable. That's the acronyms for theory. Now, how it works or how we have seen this evolve into this portfolio, we have seen that there is a major roadblock on experimentation. So every time we talk about basically a theoretical business case, people get excited because they see numbers, they start salivating. But then when they see actually that they need to change decision making, they need to change, budgeting, They need to allocate money to a different place because you need to experiment. Well, things get more complicated. I think this is something that will be more and more in the future affecting any company. As we are moving, now with co-pilots and recommendation engines that will be basically in our like whispering, I think we need this framework. We need somehow a framework of decision making. This is not just for business. This is actually could be around government decisions also. But I think now, basically, to your point about how you have actually accomplished 900 million, where we have accomplished them by running all these use cases with very fundamental reference of rigor. That's basically where we are. And then some of them has become reality. Some of them are still in discussions. Shall we actually test it? But I think this, to your point of portfolio, I think we are going to be more and more managing portfolios. Maybe managing value at risk, some kind of KPI around that.
Go for it.
So just to add to that, and I think that's a really powerful point and touches on when I say learning from the learning. So the current project we're working on in my business, the pricing one, we're going through A/B testing at the moment for a minimum of 10 weeks to generate enough data to have a sufficient confidence in the results. And I think actually listening to you, I'm really happy we're doing it this way because I do 120,000 quotes externally to customers a year. If I screw this up, I either lose business or really have a bad customer experience and lose the customer money, and I'll get zero chance to do it again. So to have an empirically driven way to say this model works and it will simulate the decisions of humans appropriately is really powerful. The challenge, and I think this comes to the deeper learnings we're talking about for your organization, is now I have to sit in front of a CFO who has zero clue about AI, ML, or any of this other fancy stuff, and trying to explain to him why I can't make the model go live today, I need to spend 10 weeks, and the process and why this is worthwhile. So that becomes a challenging conversation, and it's not a data science conversation.
Maybe just a comment around that. I don't know what do you think, but I think everyone will need to have some reference around statistics. The CFO and the CEOs of the future, this is actually a needed thing. You cannot rely on outliers or few data points. But I call this the situation of the microwave. With AI, things are becoming so complicated that you don't need really to understand how this works, but you need to actually be able to experiment. I think that's at least my recommendation is that we should actually define those A/B test experiments for large language models at any kind of context when we start to rely on this, before starting to rely, actually.
Go for it.
It's true. A lot of times when you get the answer from a model, you don't know how it got there. But this is a challenge when you have with your end users, or this is a challenge we find with our end users. Not wanting to take the recommendation or the answer because they don't know how it got there. So at some times we've had to take a step back. We could do something quite advanced, but a little bit unexplainable, right? So we've had to take a step back once in a while to do something a little less advanced, but more explainable, so that it will actually be adopted by the end users. And sometimes it feels a little unfortunate because you can have something even better, but it won't be adopted, right? So you have to take that one step back. I'm dealing with that right now with the one thing, to take a step back and do something that, okay, we can explain the answer, and so then they're more trusting and they will use it. Yeah?
Can you tell us a bit more about this, what you're dealing right now with this use case on explainability? Because I think it's a very interesting trade-off. You trade off performance most of the time for explainability, is it something that we could also foresee in advance and, maybe kind of start the change management weeks before or upon project start to avoid this part, or you think it's just inevitable?
Well, in this case, we started with let's say, a better representation, which was a little bit more machine learning to give to the end user, and it didn't work. And that's when we took the step back. We couldn't foresee it, otherwise we would have started with something easier. But yeah, you understand that every time you give something to them, they usually ask why. And the more explainable it is, the easier it is, right? You have to start with a really, let's say, advanced group of users or an advanced group of adopters if you're going to start with something that's unexplainable, right? So if you have that, go ahead, go for it. Take it. Go the way that's, let's say, more advanced or a better representation. And then, but when you are going to amass like a really large group that I am providing this for, this is when it gets a little tricky and you might have to step back. Maybe you should start easier. Maybe the next time we'll start with something more explainable and then gradually, as it's adopted, move towards the less explainable but better result. Yeah.
I see. Marco, you talked a lot also in your definition of AI. You mentioned a lot the human in the loop element.
Yes.
Tell us more about it. Why do you think it's so important? And what I'm curious about also is, how do you see it developing through the years? Because, everybody says today technology will replace us, so forth and so on. Will even us, the guys creating technology, be replaced? Or what happens?
I think we'll all retire soon and be like the ancient Greek. And
I will sign for that.
that's why if I would invest today, probably in entertainment, these kind of things. Anyways, this is now the investment seminar. Human in the loop, I think it's important for a number of reasons, and some we heard right now, for example. So if the model is explainable, right, that might make a little difference in the end. You always still need someone to take a look at it and say yes, no. Problem is with non-explainable models. And today, for example, we need a lot of human in the loop when it comes to LLMs, because there are no quality metrics for the output of an LLM as of yet. Yes, you can come up with something, but you need a ground truth, and the ground truth might be different or slightly different and difficult to compare. So we sometimes talk about the cost of error. Right? And when we talk with our stakeholders, we say, okay, you want to put an LLM to answer customers' questions? Fine, we can do it. Do you have enough material? Yeah, cool. What is the cost of error? What if the customer gets the wrong answer? Or the user gets the wrong answer? Right? How do we measure that, and how much is it going to affect? I come from the healthcare sector. The cost of error of a wrong recommendation from a healthcare system, it's huge. It could be a life. Huge, okay? And unmeasurable, I would say. Now, in business, it's slightly different, but say that you lose a customer, say that there is a wrong recommendation and a project goes wrong, a product doesn't come out as it should be, okay? So we need the experts to be in the loop in all those cases, and right now it's kind of 100% of the cases where you cannot have the system take the risk of the decision. So the risk of the decision has to be with the humans, as of yet. Then, I don't know, in 20 years, maybe we have AGI and we all retire and we become batteries. I don't know, but yeah. The citation from Matrix, of course. And yeah, and then we're done. But until that point, that's important. The other role of the experts is really at the very beginning of the project. Because you cannot work on an undefined problem, and only experts know how to define a specific problem so that we can apply AI to it. And only experts know how to monitor it, how to track it, how to intervene in it if something goes wrong. So I think we still have, again, a bright future as humans, not yet replaced. We'll still be there for a long time until we become batteries, yeah.
Bronte, Marco just mentioned, the human in the loop. He talked about human in decision making. In your specific case, let's say with your pricing use case, right, that you are leading, how do you differentiate human intuition and decision making based on data or AI? What weight do you give it to? How do you do it? I know they're complementary, but there is always one, maybe they deviate, right? One says yes, the other one say no. How do you guys take those decisions?
Great question, and in my prior career, incredibly important as well from military intelligence. It's all about supporting the decision makers with the right information at the right time. And what source should you draw that from? What I find fascinating in this whole discussion is the human decision-making model is not explainable either, right? We set this high bar of explainability on AI as if this was something incredibly necessary, but we can't explain our own decision-making. And I'd argue, when I look at a business unit, which is an ecosystem of so many parameters and complexity, we don't understand the emergent decisions that come out of that ecosystem, let alone anything else. So I think the question then becomes, how do you separate truth from fiction? For the balance between intuitive and, say, more machine learning, we've started with the simple steps first. So I'll take the pricing example. 120,000 quotes come in. There are clearly boundaries on either tail that you should just reject immediately. Too small, wrong product, wrong price requested, wrong location. So first you train the model to reject the tails that are easy with a high confidence interval. And everyone's happy because that it's a very mechanistic approach, requires very little intuition. Then the next step is build recommendations for the center, where it can make a recommendation, and now my analysts, my pricing analysts, have more time to assess that. There's another factor here as well, which is time. If it's a straightforward quote, we can process within 24 hours. If we want to discount deeper to get a greater market share, any discount, say, above 10%, needs to go into our product management specialists because they have that body of intuition. But then now my process might take weeks to respond to someone. So the next step then is gradually training the model to edge into this space where it can provide recommendations that I would normally leverage someone else for. And I don't view this as binary. It's not yes, no. I have scarce, restrained, perishable resources, which is the experience of my experienced pricing and product managers. I want to focus that on the cases that matter, because that's a perishable resource in terms of time and expertise. So that's where I see the balance is, and that will be different for every problem that you're trying to solve.
Fantastic. And my last question before we open it up to the audience. The four of you have run some sort of AI programs over the past years, some more successful, some than others. You have your fair share of challenges, fair share of amazing results. If there were some people here in the audience that would like to know what's the secret to run an AI program successfully and implement AI across their organization, could you give one tip, one advice on what do you think it is? One sentence? Each one of you, right? So nobody can escape that.
Okay, I can start. Fail. So I think that you need to be prepared for failing. I think that's one of the elements. I think that also has to do with be humble. I feel that all these organizations, when we talk about intuition, expertise, I think there is a lot of myths around that we humans, we don't know actually shit, honestly. So I think keep it like, low profile, your insight, understanding basically what works, what doesn't. Focus on being humble, I would say.
In order to fail in a large organization in particular, you're going to need a powerful sponsor who protects you through that process. That person doesn't have to be a deep expert in AI. They should be well placed in the organization, have tenacity, and have the political credit to protect you while you get up and running through the sort of dangerous phases. And I agree with the prior comments. At some point, this needs to come top down, but it should be closely linked and driving the strategy of the company, not the other way around. It's a tool for the strategy of the company. But get a good sponsor within your organization, or a couple.
Yeah, I think the sponsorship is critical. This is critical. But as well, I mean, the end users are critical, right? If you don't, even you need to have them getting on board because they tell their colleagues, and this is the way things grow. We know the viral types of movements. And so you have to have the sponsor, but if you don't have the end user actually in the loop, probably sort of helping you direct the developments, it's not going to work either. So it's from both ends, grassroots as well as the sponsor.
Yeah, what can I say? I think AI is like karate. Anyone has seen probably Karate Kid, right? Mr. Miyagi says, Daniel-san, have you learned karate? I said, well, I hope so. So AI is not I hope so. Meaning, either you do it the proper way and you have the data and you have the expertise and you have the right algos and you have the sponsorship, or you don't do it at all, which is better than do it halfway with improper results, with a lot of noise with probably a lot of errors. That doesn't help. So it's one of these things that either you go all the way properly, or it's one of these things, okay, better to sit there a moment and think about it than starting it. When you say people run and then everyone runs in different direction, you don't want that.
So to compile the key learnings all together, what I understand is in order to have a successful AI program, you need to go all the way, make sure you fail a lot throughout the process, that you have a guide backs you up for all the failures you'll have and the money that you'll waste on things that may not work until your ROI kicks in, and make sure to onboard everybody with you in the journey so that people leverage AI with you. Fantastic. So we'll open it up now to your questions. If you have any questions, we have 10 minutes for that. Unfortunately, I don't think we have a mic that is running, but if you can just shout, go for it.
Yeah. We have a mic running. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So thanks a lot for this very insightful panel. A question about your interactions with the board. Probably a couple of things changed over the last couple of 12 months. So any kind of specific experience in managing their expectations, respectively, any changes in the business strategy when it's about AI, or is it just some collateral things in the background? Thank you.
Who would like to take this one?
Yeah. I can start. What fascinates me is, so I've been with TE over 13 years now. And last year, cybersecurity came up as a board-level topic. This year, AI. We just recently held a science advisory board readout to our board of directors. The level of effort and energy that our board of directors is putting into learning about this, understanding the risks, understanding the environment, pushing us hard on how are we building a enterprise-wide scalable foundation that we can replicate and apply, has been really fascinating. Historically, we are a B2B, make billions of widgets company. A lot of these lines have run 30, 40 years. So it's really fascinating. We're not a fast-paced tech company, but the board clearly view this as a critical area of interest. And that's been a change for us.
The last 12 months I have seen more conversations around basically to use AI, to experiment with AI. I think we started the program was actually 7 months ago. I think that everyone got really curious. Now we started our journey, as I mentioned, 6 years ago. Use cases were developed much early on. But I think that now with basically all this external advertisement, this has been actually, exploding. I think the connection with cybersecurity and basically compliance, responsibility on AI, this is actually where we have actually focused now. So we we have thought that this should be at corporate level to create some kind of AI governance, especially with the topics around responsible AI, how we can create AIs that are safe, secure, that are ethically compliant, that connects with our vision and our mission as a company and what we protect as a society also. So we are basically connecting the dots, but I think it's a journey. I mean, we are starting with a good foundation, but we need to make sure that this is aligned with the corporate strategy. Yeah.
Thank you very much, actually, all of you. It was really, really interesting. You all mentioned about failure and that having a failure is really important to learn from it and to have other projects running. If you don't have that sponsor that will follow you and help you, how can you convince actually the management, the business units, that you need to try again on these new projects, new AI projects?
Should I take this? Oh, that's a difficult question. Okay. And Christine said, "Oh, you, Marco, answer." Okay, thank you. Well, I think again, we have on our side the advantage that we are, a science-based company. Okay. In science, I think failure and working through failure, and eventually succeed is part of normality. So on one hand, of course, we can mention that, and a lot of stakeholders will understand it. The other one, I think, is also linked to the resilience of this program. So we never position them in a way that, this is magic, and you put a thingy there, and boom, you have the result, and you have the scale up. We position them in a way that it's a probabilistic effort to a certain extent. So there is a high probability that it will work, and there is a priori, of course. Then you can always update it ex post, follow-on base. It will work upfront, and we know that it might work, but of course you have to demonstrate it, and you have to go through those iterations to show it. Now, if an iteration fails, it's built into the project that you can try again in the next iteration. That's part of the process, and that's part of the ways of working. Of course, if it goes through multiple failures, then I would argue that you are doing the things right or you're doing the right things. And that's why setting the stage and setting the expectation in the discovery phase, in the ideation phase at the very beginning, that's where the real magic happens then. Then you can afford your failures as part of the project. So I will not say, okay, let's fail because we want to fail. No, we fail as part of the learning that we make, right? There is if you fail without learning, that's a huge problem. And then we pull the plug. If you fail and learn, then that's an advancement.
Maybe one comment here is also about the art of storytelling with AI, that I feel that this is really important. I mean, as I mentioned before, it's important your evidences, but it's even more important your storytelling. So because we are humans, we are biased, we love stories, we believe in stories, make sure you invest a lot on your storytelling. It needs to be bulletproof. It needs to be emotional. It's boring statistics will not work if you don't have some kind of emotional element to your story. Something about success and so on. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this excellent panel. I would like to ask you about your take on having a balance between having an internal data science or decision science team versus relying on external partners. So to what extent can you depend on an external partner, vendor, providing professional services in this area?
I can start because I have the microphone. I don't believe in externalizing innovation. I believe in basically sharing risk. So I think that if you have basically a framework for, evidence working, like, focus on actually enabling trustable AIs, I think it's easy to work with vendors, but we need to share the same objective. And I think that there is a risk today which is basically externalization with large language models or software providers. And this risk has to do with understanding opportunity lost or opportunity cost or quality impact. So I think that unless you have a clear control on that, I think that I will start internally. Yeah.
This is a great question, and I've spent a bit of time talking with my chief technology officer about this question. I'll paraphrase a saying from one of my friends. Amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics/supply chain/ecosystem. So in my view, I cannot do this all internally. I must use external resources. That's a must do. The question then becomes how and where. You must have an internal resource that is smart enough to understand where to go externally. And the example my CTO used was, so in my company, we use stamping presses. These things can do amazing rate, high frequency strokes per minute, produce amazing number of things. In my company, we don't need to build stamping presses. They're the algorithms. I need experts or commoditized algorithms. So I'll happily work with partners to tell me or help make the stamping presses, but I won't let them own where they get put in my factories, on what process or what product we make on them. That we will own. So I think it's understanding your own competitive advantages and where the heart of your innovation lies internally. Otherwise, you dissipate that away externally and you lose that. It's not easy. If it was, we'd get minimum wage, so.
I might be a bit biased representing Visium, but you should always externalize. And I think that we are arriving at 12:30, which is time. I'd like to thank again our 4 panelists that did a great job.